My father, was an army officer. Young people like you will make the difference in this world that we are in, and we need
Doing that for 3 decades to be able to bring the world's first international campus to India.
Australia and India naturally are joined at the hip.
You're passionate and hardworking. Namaste and a very warm welcome to the Creating Kinder Content podcast with me, Mallika Bajaj, where we're stoked to be joined today by the Deputy Vice President Global and CEO South Asia, Deakin University, Ms. Ravneet Pahwa. For everyone who knows her as the woman who has been able to bring the world's first international campus to Bharat at the Gift City in Gujarat. Also happens to be Deakin's first international campus anywhere in the world. But for me, the number one thing that resonates about Ravneet is innovating with intent. She has been doing this consistently for the last 3 decades, and I've had the very, very beautiful fortune of observing her very closely in the rooms that she lights up to confirm that there is Ravneet who is adding lead to leader, but if I may amp it up and add a whole new genre dedicated to her, be lead like her, learning from her today for the first time on a digital platform, getting to know her as closely as we possibly can, the heart behind this powerhouse. Ravneet, thank you for joining us. And without any further ado, can I please request you to introduce yourself to my audience in 3 words that you think best describe you to get this party started?
Passionate, hardworking, committed.
Love. And before we get into the details of those, are these words that have been given to you as a child when you were growing up in the environment that you were raised in, or are these words that you've discovered about yourself on this journey you've been on?
I think the words were not given, but I think the essence of the words was there as I was growing up. My father, was an army officer, so really grew up in a very patriotic and a very focused environment where everything was about, being right and dedication and commitment and of course, hard work has been something that I have closely associated myself with, in all these years. But I think as one grows up, one gets more exposure to life and one gets to understand where things are, and then you start to define what your, who you are, and that starts to streamline a little bit as you move into your life and into the future. And for me, these 3 words have defined my personal and my professional life.
Love that. I can definitely vouch for your passionate and hardworking. The rest of those are absolutely your words, but I've seen you. I've literally seen you work endlessly. And yeah, so we're going to get into now the experiences. Has there ever, so that we can also grow into this story, has there ever been an experience, an experience of a random act of kindness that has come your way in a moment where you were not feeling like this powerful Ravneet that you always probably feel like? And someone walked into your life and made you feel like that was your superpower and you wanted everyone around you to feel that way because now you were made to feel that way. Has there ever been an experience like that?
Yeah, I think the experience has been like that. That so many times, like especially when you are young and when you are, you're sort of not sure about yourself, your surroundings, your work, and then suddenly you get this feeling of empowerment that comes your way, and you start to feel that yes, this is something I can relate to. This is something that I can deal with. This is something that I enjoy. I remember, when I so 3 decades of work with Deakin University has been exciting, and people say, "How did you do this for 30 years?" Truly, Malika, I can tell you that I actually don't think it's 30 years because it doesn't feel like it. It feels like yesterday. In fact, I was just talking to my son, who's 26, that when I look at some of the pictures, of myself and my family and my work, and I feel, wow, yeah, this has been a long time ago. But it's just been so much on the move that all the exciting opportunities, all the exciting work, all the energy, all the engagement, the outcomes have been just so beautifully woven into, without being, I guess, uh, it's not been orchestrated. It's just happened naturally. It's been organic. And to me, that has been the beautiful time of life as it has unfolded itself. I always tell people it's the journey that you're on, not the destination that matters. So treat your life like a train journey, you
Love.
sort of you go into things, you meet people, some people stay with you for longer, some people come and get off early, that's the journey of life that I can relate to.
3 decades. Let me compliment you. Of course, I think I do it all the time when I see you. You don't look a day older. Like you're always looking amazing. I don't know how you're doing it with the work that you manage. Not a hair out of line. But I've also observed you closely enough to confirm that you are often found in very high masculine energy rooms. And for a young girl who's always seen you walk into those, I don't think tone it down or fizzle is not what you're going for, because I don't think those are the right words. But you have a beautiful way, Ravneet, of walking into these rooms and balancing out the energy with this feminine flow and saying, okay, guys, all this is great, but can we come back to bringing in maybe something that results into empathy or human experience being kind. There is something that you're doing. What is it that you're doing? Is that your superpower? Would you like to share how you're doing what you're doing to build this 3 decade long empire you have for us?
I think it's just naturally, I have been in situations where I have been the only woman in the room.
Yeah.
I have walked into meetings where people have assumed I'm a man because, and the name doesn't give away very easily, I think. So, Mr. Ravneet is what I've been often addressed at,
Yeah.
with these big hoardings in places that welcome you. Have also said Mr. Ravneet because that's the assumption people have. But having said that, I think that it's a sense of natural ability to relate to situations and be empathetic. I think that comes in women, and I think that gets exhibited at work as well. Whether it is your own people, back home, or it is family, or it is people you work with, or people you associate with, you tend to build these relationships, that are important, and you can only try that hard to do it if you want to do it in a structured manner. But if you are you and if that's the person you are from inside, then you'll relate to it quite naturally. And I think that for me, A, I've been lucky to have wonderful people around me, but B, I've also felt this connection to people as one of my innate uh, capability or innate strength, to be this person. I studied counseling. I did a master's in guidance and counseling. So I always knew I was going to do something with education and people. I didn't know what it was 30 years back, but I think it comes naturally. And being a woman, I think one can exhibit it a lot more easier than men can.
Mm-hmm. No, I love that, and I'm really glad that we're discussing this, because I think that sometimes when you walk into your rooms, like you said, you're suddenly Mister, and like even I get addressed as Sir.
Yeah,
It's a little bit off. Yeah, it throws you off sometimes. I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah,
do I look like a Sir? But I think the way you mold it, and you're just like kind enough in that moment to say, listen, let's please get the basics right, and then I'll get into what you want from me. But
yeah.
I think that is very powerful. So for me, I think that is one of your superpowers, and we'll discover more as we go along. But from your experience of being in this industry, do you think have you been able to tailor educational approaches to foster kindness, particularly in this diverse educational, multicultural space that you find yourself in? Working with Australia, who is a natural ally and a friend, and we've had our own narratives go up and down. But the truth has always remained we're family, we're an extension literally of India. How's
Yeah,
that been?
Yeah, I think that, Australia and India naturally are joined at the hip. I
Yeah.
think there are a lot of things that we do which is together, and we've got similar values, we've got similar understanding. We are sort of multicultural in our approach. We are a democracy, and we believe, and the strength of the diaspora in Australia, the Indian diaspora in Australia, is only becoming better and bigger. So I think that when you have the sort of bilateral government to government relationships in place, and then you have the people to people relationships in place, businesses happen, right? I'm of the firm belief that to let business happen, you've got to have mutual trust, mutual understanding, and mutual friendship.
Yeah.
Without that, it's very hard to do business. And India is a relational market. Whether you talk from a people to people perspective or you talk from a business perspective, And I think Australia is a natural partner to that. I mean, given education, tourism, hospitality, these are sort of themes that sort of underline the phase of business outcomes, trade, investment, commonality, that both countries can look forward to. And then also, I think trying to deal with issues that are important to not just both countries but to the world. I mean, G20 was a very good example of what India showcased and how can we come together to solve these world problems. Australia is a good partner to India. I think the complementarity there is really important, and I think that's the understanding that the prime minister, the government, and the businesses have. And I think bringing the kindness piece, bringing the relational piece is really important because that's what defines the strength and provides a good base for business to happen.
I love that. And I think you have been a masterclass in doing that for 3 decades to be able to bring the world's first international campus to India. I know that that's also Deakin's first international campus anywhere, but I think the fact that you've been able to build these relationships for 30 years and over through this mutual friendship that you're talking about, I think that has probably landed us into a very, very huge opportunity that now Bharat is sitting on. But do you think then, Ravneet, this kindness that you put out, do you think at some level it also impacts or affects your own well-being and happiness, or do you think it's only a one way, like you're constantly giving it out to people and nothing's coming back? How's your take on that?
No, it's actually a two-way process. Nothing one way can last for a long time, Malika, as you know, right? Everything is a two-way process in life. What you give is what you get. I get a lot of love. I get a lot of respect. I get a lot of ability to make a difference. For me, what keeps me going, and my husband often asks me, what does stick for you? You know, whether you're sick or you're, sort of into other aspects, the one thing that does keep you going is work. I mean, the truth is, I don't treat it as work. I do wake up every morning thinking, wow, what is it that one needs to do today that is going to be different? And how is that going to be impactful? So, to me, what really uh, uh, does mean a lot is the difference that one can make, I think. And the love that I've got, the respect. Of course, recognition is also important, but more than that, it is the ability to be able to change things, the ability to be able to see that you can, whether it's lives, whether it's students, whether it's staff, whether it's institutions, whether it's countries. You almost sort of grow from it's like you keep peeling the onion and you start getting to the core, and then you say, well, yes, family impact, then family, you sort of see how you are impacting your loved ones, and then it's the office environment, it's the organization, it's a society, it's a community, it's the country, and it's the countries. So to me, I think that has been a beautiful part of my journey. When I reflect back on the 30 years, I do feel that yes, there have been ups and downs. Malika, everything is not a bed of roses. There have been difficult moments. There have been times when I've been the only person trying to do a whole lot of things, and one has thought about, is this going to be possible? Is this even going to happen? But then my response to myself is just keep doing what you love doing. And the day you wake up saying this is not what ticks me, you have to think about what next.
Well, I hope that day is far for you because right now I genuinely think we need Ravneet longer. I think what you've been able to, honestly, sincerely, I've gone to Australia, I've studied in Australia, I love the Victorian government education systems. Australia is my second home, and I think what you have done for Indian students to go outside, especially because I think Indian students, India being the world's largest, oldest living civilization, if not for the partition, we bring a lot to the table. And I think with someone like you backing us, we know that when we go back, we have someone who's a solid voice to also what we bring to the table, what we bring to these countries has been large. But when I was leaving, I wasn't a part of Deakin. I wish it was true. There are other universities taking cues from how to lead like her. Um, But I think what you're doing is exceptional. So your day is really far, even if you don't like to hear that. But I also want to know, since we talked about the not so bed of roses, has there ever been? And I don't want you to get into detail because I know that you wouldn't probably do it. If you'd want to, you're most welcome. But on the unkind days, Ravneet, and I know that there have been many, like you said, because your path is different. So it obviously was difficult from, at least when you were doing it. On the unkind moments, on the unkind days, how do you cope up with those? How do you carry those emotions? And or for the younger people who want to become like Ravneet, what is your message to them? How do you deal with the unkindness?
I think my message is you've got to be solid inside. You will get bogged down by things which are external, sometimes internal. But if you are committed to something, that's where one of my strengths has played with me is the commitment part. Commitment part to self and commitment part to what you sort of feel you want to do is really important. And then you find ways to deal with situations. And then I think inner strength is one, but also strength from people around you,
Mm.
with family, friends, colleagues, seniors, and your team members, your sort of staff. Everyone comes together to give you that strength to deal with the not so kind or not so easy moments in life. And that's human. I think you need to do that. You can't just be by yourself all the time. So, but when you are a leader, when you are at the top, you are lonely because you have to take the
Let's
carriage
talk
of it.
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to take the carriage of everything, and then the decisions that you make impact people, and that is, I think, a big responsibility to carry. It impacts people, it impacts organizations, and I always feel when I'm making those decisions that I have to do the best of my ability, that I can, and then leave the rest. I can't assume things will fall into place 100% all the time. And life is all about taking risks as well. If you don't take the risks, you don't get the next step, right? You could be in a very comfortable zone for a long time and just be in that zone forever. But there are people like that. That's not me. For me, it is always what next and how one can do things differently. Be bold. I mean, one of the values that I really associate myself with Deakin is brave. Being brave, and being realistic at the same time, but also driving and pushing boundaries. If you don't do that, then life can be boring.
Okay, we'll get into a specific one. When was the last time, or what does Ravneet do to be kind to herself, and what particular activities? Tell me, like, when was the last time you were kind to yourself? Like, you
Oh,
consciously did
I'm very kind to myself,
that.
Malika,
How?
and my husband will vouch for it. So I love shopping,
Amazing.
right? So I spend a lot of time, and I'm a happy shopper. So
Yeah.
I can buy a thing which is least expensive, and that gives me the most happiness. So I'm not into heavy shopping of big brands and expensive jewelry, and yeah, sometimes I want to do more of that, but
You.
to me, it's the small things in life that matter, and I'm very happy doing those. So that's me time. I love shopping. I love going out with friends and doing things. I love listening to music. I love getting a good head massage in a hair spa. That's my de-stress time. A wonderful pedicure and a head massage is something I can, spend a lot of time on. And then I guess just reflecting, reading. I don't do heavy reading. I spend so much time in the headspace,
Yeah.
um, at work, that I tend to do some light reading. Cooking only in Melbourne when I go, because there I have to. I don't have an option. And then managing the house a little bit, here and in Melbourne. But yeah, I do spend time on myself. It's not that it's just only work.
No, thanks for saying that, because a lot of people I think miss it out and then end up, not that I'm against therapies, but therapies are fine, I'm sure, but to be able to recognize what makes you happy is I think one of the biggest parts of being kind to yourself, and I'm glad you've been able to crack that with the work that you do. For everybody else watching, from the experience that you've had, you're also now right in the middle, like you said, you have a 26-year-old of the digital generation. What are simple acts of kindness that you think our generation is missing out or starting to take for granted? And what are those things that maybe one or two that you'd like for us to bring back this generation versus, what you've experienced yourself?
Spend time with people you love. I think that this generation is too much about what others think of themselves, or of you. I think it's a lot about being on the digital media or social media or phone. Like, I mean, for example, a wedding. Like, you attend a wedding. People are more worried about their selfies and more worried about how they look rather than actually engaging and spending time with the family. I mean, that fun time of family weddings, simple things that mattered, where you spend evenings uh, dancing and singing and not worrying about necessarily all the time about how you look. And you're being watched, and you have to do this for social media. You have to put this post. People, how many likes do you have? Um, I think this generation is missing out with that pressure. They are missing out on the real fun of engaging, spending time with people you love, and doing things that make you internally happy.
Great. And before we move into our kindness quick starts, which is going to be our last segment, will be very, very quick questions and answers. I want you to, from the experience that you have, talk to our students who are obsessed with studying outside, which I don't think is a problem. I think it's a great idea to have the exposure, and if life allows that opportunity, one should take it. But as an Indian student, and I say this specifically as someone who is Indian and has recognized what we bring to the table, is there something that you'd like to share from the experience of what you have seen our students have gone out and brought back to our country, to their countries, to whichever countries they've gone to? Is there a message that you'd like to give to the Indian students who, whether or not make it outside, what do you think we're capable of?
I think the students need to understand, what does education really mean? I mean, education is not just a piece of paper. Education is, you spend those 3 years at the undergrad or 4 years at the undergrad level in identifying, relating yourself to who you are. Life is not just about earning money, I think. Life is about enjoying the part that brings out the real you. So, your innate skills can be honed, your knowledge can be gotten better. I mean, you could get knowledge on the internet these days without going to a university. Why do you need to go to a university? If your objective is, I want to be 22 years old and I want to be earning $1 million, then yes, probably university is not the place for you. But if you are a person who wants to say, well, I want to have a full life, I want to meet friends, I want to engage, I want to understand myself, experience myself, and build a world around me that relates to me and things that I want to do, then I think whether you study in India or you study overseas, it doesn't matter. You must, in my view, education and knowledge and skills makes you who you are. And this is an ongoing process in life. It is life changing. Lifelong learning is important. But enjoy your time. At the same time, make sure that you are engaging with different cultures of life, from life, and different kind of people in your life, and learn to accept, adapt, and adopt. I think those are important in life. It's acceptance sometimes of failure, and I think having a sport in life to relate to, having a hobby. I remember when my son was growing up, me and my husband would always say to him, two things in life you should not give up. One is a sport and one is a hobby, a music, an instrument that takes you away from the pressures of life, and sort of helps you relate, relax, calm. At the same time, deal with sort of the changing environment around you, uh, through resilience within yourself.
Yeah.
So I would say to students that these are not qualities that are just words. This is life. What you do, what you learn, what you fail with, what you are successful with, is all going to be a part of who you are. So accept that, deal with it, adopt to changes, adapt changes in life. And if it is a change that's going to make you who you are, make sure you understand that's what matters.
Love, love, love. Okay, now are you ready for your kindness quick starts?
Yes.
Don't get too much time for these. All right, let's get this started. Do you have a go to kindness quote or a motto that inspires you?
Happiness.
Okay, if kindness had a color, what color would it be and why?
Red.
Why?
Just passionate. It's just happy.
Fire.
Fire.
If kindness were a food, what would it taste like? Texture, details, flavor, everything.
Rajma chawal.
Do you want to expand on any
Oh, it's
spice
just
level?
comfort. I think it's just comfort. It's just comfort food. It's just something that for me, I can eat Rajma chawal any time of the day, anywhere in the world.
We
So
should,
it's just comfort.
we should hang out. If kindness were a sound, what sound would it make and why?
A happy sound, maybe a flute, maybe like just relaxing, calming, and just going with the flow.
Lovely. If kindness were a subject, since you're in that space, a subject in school, what would the core curriculum include?
Psychology, understanding, deep dive.
Deep dive. What's the most important lesson on kindness you've learned of working between India and Australia?
I think just be passionate and just go with the flow, and people will relate to you.
Okay. If kindness were a superpower, Ravneet, what superpower would you want for kindness to have on you and why?
I think what I would really want is the ability to impact, the ability to change, the ability to be different. And the reason for that is because you've got to have your own space. You've got to be niche. You've got to, in this world of billions and billions of people, you are a very small piece. Um, how do you make that difference? That's important.
Well, I'm going to tell you that a part of your superpower you already have because you are a very small person in size, but you take up a lot of space in any room you walk into, which is lovely and endearing to watch. So I hope that continues for you. But would you rather have the ability to make people instantly burst into laughter or make them feel loved and cared for? Which one are you choosing and why?
I think loved and cared for, it's more sustainable, and I believe in sort of sustaining relationships and the ability to have a connect. So I think loved and cared for.
Lovely. And if kindness were a breaking news, what sort of a breaking news would you want it to be and why?
Oh, that's an interesting one. Here comes the change of the world. Be kind. That's what's going to make the difference.
Love, love, love. All right, now on my Creating Kind of Content podcast, I'm the boss clearly, so no one can question this. If I nominate you as my International Kindness Minister, congratulations on the new portfolio. What day or timeline would you choose? What are people doing across the globe, and what are people not allowed to do, and what are we calling this day? Details.
We'll call it the kindness day, and people have to do kindness things for themselves and for people around them right through the day. I'm not saying do one thing, I'm saying do it right through the day. And that day can be on your birthday.
Okay, so the 20th of April, ladies and gentlemen. This is lovely. Thank you so much, Avneet. It's been an absolute honor. And I'm obviously very conscious of the time and the energy you've put into the Creating Kind of Content podcast. And so this is your moment to either ask me a question or give in feedback of your experience of being here. You're the boss of the podcast now.
I've loved being here on the podcast with you, Malika, and I think that chatting with you has been more fun than I thought. I was thinking, oh my God, I don't know what questions she's going to ask, but I've really enjoyed it. And I think that young people like you will make the difference in this world that we are in, and we need more of you. Tell me what ticks you, what works for you.
I think the one thing that you and I bond on is the fact that I'm really, really passionate about digital education. I genuinely want to reach out to the last mile in India and make sure that even the person who doesn't even have access to schools or can't even come to us right now can deserve to dream and then their dreams come true. So I think with what you have done, you've also paved a very, very strong path for us. You've cleared it out to quite a large extent. But I think for me in this generation, I feel like we're we have the means and the tools and the resources. And I studied this in Melbourne, so I can confirm that our coding is constructed to keep us tied to our phones. If I'm tied to my phone, I want content that goes out and is kind, is empathetic, and it makes us realize in present moments that we don't have to fight to make space. We can breathe in peace and breathe out love, and we could still hold a very strong space in the rooms that we walk into without pushing each other away or throwing people away from ourselves. I think that is really important, and the sooner we realize it, the better we'd be. So this is one way of putting out kind of content onto the platform.
Fantastic. I love it. And I think it's refreshing where it's not just about, oh my God, how much money have I made?
Yeah.
It's about how much impact through kindness and through the ability of being empathetic. Am I making a difference in somebody's life? And believe me, I feel that's really, really important. That quotient of life is
Yeah.
really important because that's the happiness moment in life, right? That
Yeah.
the point that you are yourself happy and making others happy, I think really does give away the strength of success. And to me, you exhibited beautifully. So thank you.
Thank
Lots
you.
of love to you.
Thank you, Ravneet. And I look forward to all that you continue doing for us, and big, big love for everything that you have actually done for us.
Thanks,
Thank
my
you.
dear. Thanks, Achan. Wish you all the best.